Hello, my friends. Your old pal, Todd, Dammit. Here to do the old year-end wrap-up. I say the old year-end wrap-up like I've done this every year. This is the first time I've ever done this in my life. So, welcome to the man cave. It's mostly guitars and Star Wars stuff. And a Beatles Yellow Submarine. And a Darth Vader balloon from a past birthday. I'm here just to wrap up. I've taken notes. I've done everything. A year ago today, I would have been in Winnipeg, Manitoba with Took. We did New Year's Eve in Estevan, Saskatchewan, a place where I was born. Everybody always sort of goes, "Hey, Estevan!" But I have no recollection of it. I was born there. My family moved immediately up to northern Manitoba, a town called Lynn Lake, where Tom Cochrane was born. Life is a highway. Till I was about 13, then we moved back to Saskatchewan. But we did New Year's Eve in Estevan, Saskatchewan, in a movie theater, which was really cool. Then we had a few months. I'm actually made notes of what the year looked like because in January we did a trip to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Did a show for Corey Churko's family in memory of his brother Kelly, who passed away. And that was a really special night for us. I've made note that January 10th, Neil Peart passed away, which is a crazy thing to even wrap my head around. I mean, the fact that Rush sort of wrapped up their last tour, I guess they foresaw this coming. It's a staggering thing. I'm still not quite sure what to make of it. That January, coming back to Vegas, Raiding the Rock Vault had moved over to the Rio casino, and I became a part of it pretty much sort of full-time around that point, rocking out with those boys. It looks like here we went to the NAMM show in Anaheim, California with the Took guys. Prestige Guitars. We played in a convention hall there. It says here that the Hard Rock Hotel closed in January of 2020, which is a really weird thing to consider because I've been doing shows at the Hard Rock Casino, well, as long as I've been coming to Vegas. So I first came down here in 2003 and probably started playing over there not long after that in some fashion. But that went bye-bye. Once we get into like March, this is where things get crazy, as you know. Took went up to Regina, Saskatchewan to play a thing called Telemiracle, which is a charity in Saskatchewan where I grew up, where we raised money. We raised $5.5 million, or was it $1 billion? I'll have to do some research on that. It was quite staggering. Enough of a number that I can't retain it. And we came back. I played one show with Raiding the Rock Vault. And then everything went sideways. You know, as you all know, the next day it was sort of like, okay, we're going to shut down this show for pandemic lockdown and see how things go. And I thought, yeah, sure, a couple weeks off would be great. You know, just in my own sort of like, I guess a couple weeks off would be kind of cool. And then, well, maybe a month off, and then as you know, things got bananas. It was one of those things. We had a 10-year anniversary show for the original Sin. We started off in 2007 as the Sin City Sinners. Myself and Brent Muscat put a band together with Doc Ellis and Rob Boom Boom Cormier, and we played all over Las Vegas. We get around to 2010, and we put out a record called Exile on Fremont Street. So March of 2020, we were going to put out the 10-year anniversary of Exile on Fremont Street, which we called 10 Years in Exile. We had 3 new songs on it, one of which, High, was getting played on the local station here called Comp, which we ended up on the best of 2020, which is pretty dope. And that had to be canceled, postponed. Unfortunately, it's, now here we are. It's New Year's Eve, and we're still postponed. So I don't know when we can rebook that, but hopefully we can. March also marked 10 years of my playing with Slash and Miles Kennedy and Brent Fitz. So that is officially at a decade. We didn't really call ourselves the Conspirators until 2012, but we started playing together in March, April of 2010. So 2020 had some significant moments there. In the meantime, while this lockdown was happening, the Toot guys started writing music. We've sort of been sitting on a bunch of original music that we plan to release sometime in the new year. No real plans, as you can imagine. No one really has. Everybody has plans. No one knows if they can execute said plans. So look forward to that. Hopefully that'll happen sooner than later. We started Toot Talk Tuesdays at 2 in April of 2020. So not that long ago. We had 42 guests, of which I don't know if you watched Toot Talk Tuesday this past Tuesday, but we had our own year-end wrap-up, and that sort of discussed everybody we had on. Some amazing people: Kim Mitchell, Jan Arden, Sebastian Bach, Miles Kennedy. We had a lot of really cool people. And sadly, Jimmy Webb, my very dear friend Jimmy Webb, passed away in April, which was really, really difficult for all of us. Anybody who knows Jimmy, it was really amazing to watch the outcry of love from Iggy Pop and Ewan McGregor and Blondie, Debbie Harry, and all these people. Just, he really was the heart of St. Mark's, and and eventually ended up being a big part of the Lower East Side in New York City. So it was a really sad and hard thing, which we're still dealing with, frankly. Very hard to deal with that. Miss him very dearly, and there will be songs about him. I don't know when they'll see the light of day, but there will be, and I'm looking forward to seeing that all play out. We'll see. Unfortunately, the next month we lost Bob Kulick, which was a whole other thing. Bob and I, anybody who's a Kiss fan knows Bob Kulick. He's Bruce Kulick's brother, but Bob played on side 4 of Kiss Alive 2. He played on Larger Than Life, All American Man, played on Paul Stanley's solo album in 1978, so he has very deep roots within the Kiss community. We did the Kiss Cruise 2017 together, and it was his first time on stage in years, and it was a massive success. We played all that music I just mentioned, along with his brother Bruce Kulick. We played a lot of non-makeup Kiss, so it was a really huge deal for us. It was my first time on the cruise, and it was a real blast. So again, losing Bob was just heartbreaking. To have him kind of be back like that, and then for it to just kind of get, for him to leave us so soon was really heartbreaking. July 1st, we was on a Canada Day special, so we finally had sort of a show. We played one song. Brent Fitz was in Winnipeg, I was in Las Vegas, the other two were in LA, so we had to kind of do it that way, and it was really fun. So it kind of made for a mildly bright moment in a crazy dark shutdown type thing. And then on July 9th was the first of these. Todd Dammit Kerns talks to his friends, I called it. I initially started the whole idea from hanging around Radio the Rock Vault. I would sit backstage talking to Blas Elias or Howard Leese or these dudes that I really respect. And they would be, I'd be asking, questions, and I'd be listening to Blas tell me about touring with Kiss and Eric Carr stories and whatnot. And I would think to myself, man, would people love to hear these stories, And so I just literally started recording Zoom chats like this just to share these stories with people. And I always like the idea of imagining some kid from Saskatchewan or Des Moines or Copenhagen or wherever the heck you happen to be from, and imagining them listening to these stories and finding them inspiring and finding them to be, to pursue what you want to do. And I thought, whether it's Blas Elias or any of these guys that I've talked to, that it could possibly be something really inspiring and really kind of help, people light a fire under people. And it continues to this day. So it's been really fun. In August, I started moving back and forth to Los Angeles with Slash, starting the early process of trying to get new SMKC music together, of which we are still in early days. Of course, people started to report that we were putting a record out tomorrow and it's going to be out, and I was like, no, we're like I'm literally sitting out in Slash's studio and we're knocking ideas together very, very early on. It was a lot of fun to do that, and like I said, it continues. I've been going back and forth from LA as well, doing some sessions on a top secret project with Mike Klink, the producer of Appetite for Destruction, but it's a tribute record for a historic band. I don't want to say too much about it, but I know Tommy Aldridge. I got to play with Tommy Aldridge from Whitesnake and Ozzy Osbourne. He played drums on a track with Phil X from Bon Jovi on guitar. And we did a song with Josh Freese on drums. Josh has been in everything from, he did a lot of the Guns N' Roses Chinese Democracy early chapters of that. He was in Nine Inch Nails, he's in Devo, he's an amazing player. I did a session with Kenny Aronoff, who was in John Cougar Mellencamp and Smashing Pumpkins, amazing. Josh Gooch played on that from Shania Twain, the other guy who's not Corey Churko. So yeah, that was really exciting and that was really fun. What happened after that? I'm trying to think where we are from there. Oh yeah, the Minefield project kind of came out of the woodwork during all this sort of lockdown. I got a phone call from, or a text or whatever, from Matt Starr and Jeremy Asbrock, who both play with Ace Frehley and had played with the Gene Simmons band as well. And they said, we're doing this project with this guy Brandon Fields, and it's they vouch for him. He's a really cool dude. He's a really great player. And I was like, okay, well, that sounds great. So I talked to Brandon. He sends over some music. We start writing some songs. And, if you've heard the song Alone Together, that was one of the first ones that kind of came together. The second song was called Home. And those, I'm really proud of the stuff we've been doing Alone Together. I'm really blown away how well it turned out. I recorded my parts at my friend Jimmy Romero's studio in the weird time of like trying to make sure we're all locked down and not trying to pass, whatever, hopefully staying as healthy as possible, trying to go over to different people's places and different studios and recording was sort of a bit weird, but it was cool. We made it work. From there, we get into things like, other weird things, like in September, at the very last day of September, a cat walked through our front door. There was a cat living not living in our front yard, but we'd seen her around the neighborhood, and a little tuxedo cat, and we were like, well, that's weird. And one day, just walks in the front door, takes a look around, and stays. And we tried to find out where she came from and, do the responsible thing. And long story short, she lives here now, and her name is Love. We've since adopted a little baby brother for her named BB, and he is terrorizing her right now, I'm sure. So it's funny how these, I went 15 years without a pet, and then all of a sudden now my whole life is ruled by these two small quadrupeds. What are you going to do? But that's just part of the weirdness that 2020 has presented. October 6th, Eddie Van Halen passed away, and that was a heartbreaker. It continues to be. It's staggering to imagine what we're missing out on that could be happening right now and happening in the future without Ed. Wolfgang is a friend, and it's just it's staggering to imagine how hard that's got to be. I mean, it was amazing how many people, universally kind of wept and grieved together on that. It's not surprising. I mean, it's such a far-reaching talent and a far-reaching body of music that he made. So that was really, really heavy. As of Halloween of 2020 marked 14 years of my living in Las Vegas. That's just a weird little tidbit of information from me. But yeah, I came down here in 2006 for a Halloween show and sort of hung back and then remained till now and beyond. So here it is, 14 years later. Very strange. As of Halloween, we would normally be on the Kiss cruise, which of course was postponed as well. They say postponed. Sometimes it's just straight up canceled, but it's pushed back till 2021. So that was a bummer because we loved doing the Kiss cruise. As I mentioned, we did the first one with Bob Kulick back in 2017. We did two more beyond that with Bruce Kulick, Brent Fitz, and Zach Throne. And then this was meant to be the fourth one for me, the third one with Zach. And that didn't happen. And it ain't going to happen until 2021, as far as I know. So, knock on wood. It says November 15th, around there, it became sort of public knowledge that SMKC is working on something. So there you go. Who knew? November 16th, Minefield released the second single called Home, which is kind of a slower one that a lot of people sort of said it has like a Mother Love Bone vibe to it, which I never really thought about until they said that. And I was like, yeah, I guess it is. It's funny what's in you and what comes out when it's sort of, when you start creating and you start writing and you're putting it out into the world. After that, myself and Shane Gallus from Took, who I've known for 30 plus years, he and I started doing some recording some Van Halen songs, just as a tribute, mostly to Ed. We recorded two, but we've only released one so far with what we call the Dirty Movies. Dirty Movies is a great Van Halen track from Fair Warning. But on guitar was Toshi Yanagi from the Jimmy Kimmel band, Jimmy Kimmel Live band. And Toshi ended up being a guest on, he was a guest on Toot Talk. And he's a monster talent and a huge Eddie Van Halen fan, and it was sort of his idea to really do this. We had Corey McCormick from Lucas Nelson. He plays with Willie Nelson, and Neil Young. He plays with some very crazy people, play bass. And I sang. It was really fun. November 20th, or somewhere around there, the Ellefson record came out, which is down here. And I sing a song on this called Sweet F.A. by a band called The Sweet, whom I love. So Dave Ellefson, who was the bass player, or currently is the bass player for Megadeth and has been since the beginning, although he took a break at one point, which is a big deal to me. Guys like Ellefson, he's a hero of mine, and he certainly was when I was younger, watching MTV and the Headbangers Ball and all that kind of stuff. So getting to sing on his stuff was a really big deal for me. In December, Took released a cover of the song, the Sheriff song, When I'm With You, which you may have seen on our social media or whatever, but it's sort of currently out there floating around. And it was originally recorded for a charity thing in Winnipeg. I wish I knew what the charity was now off the top of my head, but it was sort of started off as like, let's do a COVID video and just play acoustic guitars and sing. And then, in classic Corey Churko fashion, he grabbed a hold of it and made it this massive production that it is now. And it's pretty great. People are really excited about it, and really, it's been really amazingly well received. So that's exciting. Bruce Kulick and I played a thing called the Kiss Masquerade, a sort of convention they were having in Florida. They had Rick Derringer out there. They had Jean Beauvoir out there. All the guys from the Talisman, the Israeli band, are playing out there. But we were here, and it was impossible to get away, so we just did it here. We played, a lot of the non-makeup Kiss stuff that Bruce played on, and it was fun to do it acoustically, and literally did it from his living room, so that was kind of fun. So that was what, a lot of people saying, that's your first gig in 2020, and I go, kind of. I haven't really played in front of people in I guess, 9 months? I've lost track how long it's been since March. So that's kind of a gig, but in reality it was sort of playing at Bruce's house to nobody and some cameras, so it kind of was what it was. But it was really, really fun, and we really enjoyed it, and I hope we get to do that again. We released a Christmas track. My friend Mike Squires, who played in Duff McKagan's Loaded, has a great thing you should check out called Couch Riffs. You can find it on Instagram and online. And it's just basically gets different people all the time to come in and jam, and play guitar and play, and they put songs together. And he wanted to do Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight by the Ramones for a Christmas song, of course. And we had Frankie Clark, daughter of Gilby Clark, sing. She's amazing. She has a band called Frankie and the Studs, who was supposed to open for the original Sin back in March. That didn't happen. And then we had a good friend of ours named John Sullivan, who makes Sully guitars, which is that one over there somewhere. It's somewhere over here. I don't know. Is it? I don't know where it is actually now. I think it's probably out in the living room getting played. He has a great guitar company called Sully, so he played on that track with us. And that sort of takes us to till now pretty much, which is a staggering thing to imagine that what started off as sort of the shutdown was we were all blindsided. No one knew what to do. I have to admit, as busy, the way my mind works, I'm always busy. I'm always doing stuff. And then all of a sudden, this thing happens. We all shut down. It took me a couple weeks. It took me some Tiger King and some The Boys and some TV shows to make me really realize that, hey, I can just kick back and watch TV and just put my feet up. You know what? That sounds good. And I think it's really healthy, as awful as it is to imagine the horrible things people have been going through during this insane year. I mean, anybody who lives week to week, month to month, has to have been in trouble very early on in this, and I can't imagine. Not to mention those people who got sick during this, and I feel very fortunate to be here, relatively healthy, albeit maybe some cabin fever, but to be here and be able to kind of, to have relaxed until the phone started ringing and Minefield, and I have Took, writing with Took, and I have Bruce Kulick, and then the SMKC, slash featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators. So I have a lot of things that keep me busy on top of my own thing that I do. And then I have the Took Talk Tuesdays, Todd Dammit Kerns talks to his friends, which has been, so enjoyable to be able to do that, and to be able to do that with you guys, and getting to talk to Duck McKagan and Phil Campbell and Glenn Hughes and Steve Stevens and all these people that I just genuinely love. And then, capping off the year with Comp 92.3, which is the local radio station, had two songs I was involved in on their Best of 2020, which was, the first one was High, a song that the original Sin put out in conjunction with the release of The Exile on Fremont Street reissue, 10 Years in Exile, which was meant to come out in March. So we had a song playing back then called High, which is a really cool track. And then later in the year, we an old unreleased track of mine that was put out through, eventually it was an old demo that was put out through the 2013 accompanying EP. I released an album called Borrowing Trouble, an acoustic record. And then there was an accompanying EP called Near Life Experience that had some older songs of mine just done acoustically. And but during the campaign, we released an unreleased track called Little Grace, which ended up getting a cool video treatment done to it, and just sort of went out onto the internet during a wacky time, and now it's sort of it got some life, and it ended up on Comp 92.3, and it ended up on their Best of 2020, which was really exciting. Thank you so much for that, you guys. Looking ahead to 2021, well, there's a lot of things coming up in 2021. I mean, hopefully the SMKC record will be recorded. I can't honestly say when it'll be released. With the touring schedule being all wacky, no one really knows. I would love to be back on the road January 1st. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, the Took stuff, we've been writing lots of Took stuff, so that should be starting to filter out somewhere in the new year, and possibly some shows. There's a soundtrack thing that Corey Churko and Josh Gooch, Shane Gallus, the same guys that got involved in the Bill and Ted's 3 soundtrack that just came out in 2020, have some soundtrack stuff coming out in hopefully January that I sing on. So that would be really exciting to see that kind of see the light of day. I'll keep you posted on that. But beyond that, it's there's a couple of new projects I have going on. I wish I could talk about those as well, but we'll get more into that as these things unfold. So that would be exciting. But yeah, so there will be a Took Talk Tuesday every Tuesday. There will be a Todd Dammit Kerns talks to his friends every Thursday, and you are invited. In fact, should I say the next guest? I'll say the next guest. The first guest of 2021 is going to be a very cool dude who has ended up to be a really cool friend of mine, a guy I massively respect, and he's the third longest running member of Guns N' Roses. Can you believe that? After Axl, Dizzy, then it's Richard Fortus. So Richard Fortus is going to be the very first guest on Todd Dammit Kerns Talks to Richard Fortus in the first Thursday after the New Year's Eve party. But yeah, so I'm going to answer a couple questions that have been sent in, and then we're going to move on, and we're going to go watch Kiss play in Dubai on my big old television and ring in the new year, which is pretty exciting. I guess it's an exciting way. I usually end up playing on stage on New Year's Eve, so the fact that I haven't actually physically played in front of people in 9 months, which in the blink of an eye will be a year, is just mind-blowing. So I think what we'll do is hopefully we'll start to see things kind of like, getting better throughout 2021, and eventually it'll all be normal, and we'll all be playing shows. You'll all be going to shows. We'll all be having a blast. But I really hope that 2020, as challenging as it was, I really hope it was okay for you. I really hope it was. I hope it was a reset and a reboot. I know that it was for me. It really, honestly was. There was a couple of really tough things to deal with, but from a personal standpoint, it was actually pretty healthy. Guys like me, we have a really tough time. I've talked to Slash about this. I've talked to quite a few of my friends who are Miles Kennedy, these guys who are wired to just keep going and keep going and keep going. And then something comes along and forces you to stop. You have to kind of make the most of that. You have to read and spend time with your family and all that. So, it's now, imagine 2021, if things go back to normal, I will be away a lot more. So it's important to have spent time with my family, and but still at the same time spend time with my friends like this on a box. But all the best. I hope 2021 is even better for you. I hope it's the best ever.
Hi, this is Love. She hates being picked up. She hates being handled. But she's doing it for you guys. She is a tuxedo. She is 1 year old. Her birthday is on my birthday, December 5th. So she's a Sagittarius. She walked in our front door. She never left. She basically lets me live here. It's nice. I really appreciate her. She's a pretty good landlord. I've had worse. But she's pretty amazing, and we love her, and she's the best. This is BB. He's a little more chill at the moment. He is 6 months old. He's a Russian blue, perhaps something else, we're not quite sure. He's adopted. We decided to adopt a baby brother because, because he, just in case his sister ends up being alone. Apparently you're getting the habits from your sister. All right, well, but he's a good boy. He's super chill, except for when he's absolutely not super chill, which is actually most of the time. He is tearing the house apart. So between her being a decent landlord and him basically destroying the house, they're quite a pair.
Hi, this is Jeanette Martin from Todd Kerns, USA. My question for Todd is, what is your favorite thing about your two new fur babies?
Hi, Jeanette. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. My goodness, it's been way too long. Well, there's many things I love about my fur babies, but let's talk about my green baby for a second. He can move things with his hand, just like with his mind and stuff like that. He can do all kinds of things. He just anything he finds, just immediately eats it. It's a whole thing. But that said, the best thing about our guys is that we literally, first of all, we adopted the first one out of thin air. She literally, she found us. We didn't find her. So that was really, really awesome. And then adopting her brother was sort of very important to us too. There's a whole, I've learned so much through my friends Ann and Tom Roush out in Nashville from their charity out there about just scores of just animals that need homes, and I'm just happy to be a part of that. So I have to admit, I haven't had a pet in 15 years, and it really has reminded me how, how much you really get from animals and how much you get from having pets. It's an amazing thing. I don't think I'll ever live another day from this day forward without a pet in my life. What do you think, Grogu? He's trying to turn the camera off. He's over it. Thank you, Jeanette.
Hey, Todd. Out of all the people that you've interviewed so far, who has been your favorite and why? My follow-up question to that is, who is on your bucket list of people that you would love to interview?
Oh, hi, Norma. Happy New Year's. Happy holidays. I don't really consider them interviews. I consider them chats with friends. They're all my favorite. That's why I started with Frank Sidoris, because we're a good chat team. And my dream interview is right here. BB, what's your favorite kind of cat food? Well, that's very interesting. And why are you punching me in the face? Hey, this is assault. Hey, what's going on here? And scene.
Hey, Todd. What is your favorite type of ice cream, and why is it chocolate?
Actually, that's not a question. That's misleading. I think I'm gonna need to consult my lawyer. Vanilla, but I'm gonna consult a lawyer first, but I'm gonna start with vanilla. But that's a non-question.
Good evening, faithful viewers of Todd Kerns Talks and Talks and Talks. I'm Mikey Ramone. I had a quick question for our favorite Canadian rock star. Who let the dogs out? I'm sorry, that is for the Frank Sidoris Talks webisode. Sorry about that. My question is, if you could give any piece of advice to a young person thinking about becoming a musician, what would that be?
Hi, Mikey Ramone. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. You are missed. What advice would I give to an up-and-coming or somebody trying to get into this business? I don't know that there's a lot of advice you can give, because I think most people, if they're really motivated to play music or pursue a career in music, they're going to do it regardless of what pitfalls may fall before them. I know myself. If you would have told me all the terrible things that could happen, and pretty much did happen to me, I still would have done it anyway. I don't think it would have changed anything. I think, if anything, stick to what you want to do, stick to what you want to be, figure out what your vision is, and try and stay as close to that as possible. A lot of people will come along the way, and they will have much nicer cars than you, and live in much nicer places than you, and they will think that they know what's best for you. And it can be deceiving because of those things that you think, well, they must know what they're talking about. They may, but they often don't. And quite true when it comes to whatever you want to do. So figure out what you want to do, pursue that, be relentless about pursuing what you want to do and how you want to do it. And we can discuss this further at the next juncture. Good question, Michael. Just want to say, I know 2020 was challenging. Gosh knows it was challenging for me. I'm saying gosh, that's how serious I am about it. But I'm hoping that 2021 is amazing for you. I'm hoping it's as quickly back to normal as possible so we can play live rock and roll shows, celebrate together the ceremony of rock and roll. I wish you and yours a very happy new year. I'm gonna go watch some Kiss. Big love. See you next week with Richard Fortas.